A bullied boy stood up for a homeless man, never realizing he was a famous author who would mentor him. The words drifted through the autumn air like fallen leaves, a whispered story that seemed too perfectly crafted to be true. But in the small town of Millfield, where the extraordinary often disguised itself as ordinary, truth had a way of being stranger than fiction. Alex Palmer kept his eyes on the cracked sidewalk as he walked, his shoulders hunched against the world. 15 years old, with a mop of unruly dark hair that fell across his forehead, he'd perfected the art of invisibility, or tried to. The purple bruise blooming beneath his left eye suggested his latest failure. His fingers traced the spine of the worn paperback in his jacket pocket, a habit that had become something of a talisman. Words were safe. Words didn't punch or mock or push you against lockers. Words waited patiently between pages, offering worlds to escape into when this one became too much to bear. The late September wind cut through his thin jacket, but Alex barely noticed. Physical discomfort had become background noise, easily tuned out. The emotional cold, that was the one that reached his bones. "Watch it, Shakespeare." The voice shattered his thoughts like a stone through glass. Tyler Reeves and his two shadows, Alex never bothered learning their names, leaned against the brick wall of the corner store. Tyler flicked his cigarette to the ground, a predatory smile spreading across his face. "Got something new for your diary?" Tyler nodded toward the book outline visible in Alex's pocket. "Dear Diary, today I cried like a little." "Leave him alone." The words tumbled from Alex's mouth before he could catch them, surprising even himself. But Tyler was already laughing, already moving toward him with that familiar gleam in his eye. "What did you say, Palmer?" "I said..." Alex swallowed hard, his voice faltering. But Tyler wasn't looking at him anymore. His attention had shifted to something, someone behind Alex. "Hey, look, it's the town bum." Tyler's voice carried down the street. "Smells like he bathed in a dumpster." Alex turned to see an older man shuffling along the sidewalk, pushing a shopping cart containing what appeared to be his entire life. The man's beard was long and gray, his clothes layered and worn thin. But something in his posture, in the way he held his head, suggested dignity despite circumstances. Tyler and his friends moved toward the man, circling him like wolves. One knocked into the cart, sending a few items clattering to the ground. "Oops," Tyler sneered. "Dropped your mansion, old man." The homeless man said nothing, just bent slowly to retrieve his fallen possessions. His hands, Alex noticed, were clean, and his fingers long and elegant despite the dirt beneath his nails. They were a writer's hands. Something hot and unfamiliar flared in Alex's chest. Before he could think, he was moving, placing himself between Tyler and the man. "Back off," Alex said, his voice steadier than he felt. "Just back off." Tyler's eyes widened in genuine surprise. "You defending this trash? That's perfect. The freak and the bum." I said leave him alone. Alex's heart hammered against his ribs, but he didn't move. For a moment, the air between them crackled with tension. Then Tyler laughed, the sound sharp and dismissive. "Whatever." "Come on, guys. It smells like failure over here." They swaggered away, shoving each other and laughing. Alex exhaled slowly, his hands trembling with adrenaline. He turned to the homeless man, who was carefully placing a notebook back into his cart. "Are you okay?" Alex asked. The man looked up, and Alex was struck by his eyes. Deep blue and startlingly clear, like windows to a different person than his appearance suggested. "I'm quite all right, thank you." His voice was quiet but refined, each word precisely shaped. "That was very brave of you." Alex shrugged, embarrassed. "Not really. They're just jerks. Courage isn't the absence of fear, but acting despite it." The man smiled slightly. "May I know the name of my defender?" "Alex. Alex Palmer." "Pleased to meet you, Alex Palmer. You can call me Marcus." He didn't offer a last name. Alex noticed a book among the man's possessions. Dog-eared and well-loved. "You like to read?" "Books are the one possession worth having," Marcus replied. "They contain worlds within worlds." The answer resonated somewhere deep in Alex's chest. He nodded toward the park across the street. "They have benches over there. Better than standing here." Marcus tilted his head, studying Alex with those penetrating eyes. "Indeed they do." They walked in silence, an unlikely pair crossing the street to the small town park, with its maple trees flaring red and gold. Alex wasn't sure why he was doing this. His mother would be horrified. Talking to strangers, especially homeless ones, broke every rule she'd established. But something about Marcus made Alex feel both curious and oddly safe. They sat on a bench overlooking the pond, where a few stubborn ducks paddled through the fallen leaves floating on the surface. Marcus set his cart beside them, positioning it carefully. That's quite a bruise you're sporting, Marcus observed, gesturing to Alex's eye. Alex's hand moved reflexively to cover it. It's nothing. Marcus didn't press. Instead, he asked, "What were you reading?" "I noticed the book in your pocket." Alex hesitated, then pulled out the paperback. Whitman, Leaves of Grass. Something flickered across Marcus's face. Surprise, perhaps even approval. A rather sophisticated choice for someone your age. "My English teacher mentioned it. Said it was revolutionary." Alex ran his thumb along the edge of the pages. "I like how he sees beauty in everything, even in suffering." Marcus was quiet for a moment. The world breaks everyone, and afterward, many are strong at the broken places. He paused. "That's Hemingway, not Whitman." "I haven't read much Hemingway yet." "Yet?" Marcus smiled. "That implies intention?" Alex shrugged. "I want to read everything. Words make more sense than people." "Ah, but people create the words. One cannot truly understand one without the other." A cool breeze rustled the trees, sending a shower of golden leaves spiraling down around them. One landed on the bench between them, perfectly formed and fiery red. Marcus picked it up, turning it in his fingers. "Nature's first green is gold, her hardest hue to hold," he recited, his voice taking on a rhythmic quality. "Her early leaf's a flower, but only so an hour." Alex recognized it immediately. Robert Frost. "Nothing gold can stay." We read that in class last week. Marcus's eyes crinkled at the corners. Nothing stays golden, but that doesn't diminish its worth while it exists. They fell into conversation about books, poetry, and writers. Alex found himself forgetting about the bruise on his face, about Tyler and his threats, about the strangeness of sitting in a park talking to a homeless man. Marcus spoke about literature with a passion and insight Alex had never encountered before. Not from teachers, not from the librarians who knew him by name. "You know a lot about writing," Alex said finally, realizing the afternoon had slipped away without his noticing. "I've had time to read," Marcus replied simply. He gazed out at the pond, now gilded with late afternoon light. "And you, Alex Palmer? Do you write as well as read?" The question caught Alex off guard. "How to me were. How did you know?" "Your notebook." Marcus nodded toward the spiral-bound book peeking from Alex's backpack. "The way you speak about words. Readers appreciate language. Writers inhabit it." Alex felt his cheeks warm. "I try. It's probably not very good. Most writing isn't at first. That's not what matters." "What does matter then?" Marcus turned those clear blue eyes on him. "That you keep doing it. That you have something to say and the courage to say it." The town clock chimed 5, startling Alex. "I have to go. My mom will worry." "Of course," Marcus nodded. "Thank you for the conversation. It's been some time since I've had one so engaging." Alex stood, shouldering his backpack. He hesitated, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a granola bar he'd forgotten about lunch. "Here. It's not much, but..." Marcus accepted it with a slight nod. "Thank you. Will you?" Alex gestured vaguely around the park. "Will you be okay? I've weathered worse than a chilly autumn night." Marcus's expression softened. "Go home, Alex. Your mother is waiting." Alex turned to leave, then paused. "I come here sometimes. To write. Maybe I'll see you again?" "Perhaps you will." As Alex walked home, the encounter replayed in his mind. There was something about Marcus that didn't fit. The eloquence, the knowledge, the dignity that no amount of dirt or ragged clothing could diminish. Like a character in one of the books Alex loved. Someone with a hidden story just waiting to be discovered. His mother was at the kitchen table when he arrived, nursing a cup of tea after her double shift at the diner. Her eyes widened at the sight of his face. "Alex!" What happened?" She was up in an instant, tilting his chin to examine the bruise. "It's nothing, Mom. I'm fine." "This is not nothing." Her voice trembled with anger and worry. "Was it those boys again?" "I'm calling the school." "No." Alex pulled away. "Please don't. It'll just make things worse." "Honey, they can't keep doing this to you." Alex saw the exhaustion in her eyes. The worry lines etched deeper than they should be for someone only 38. She worked so hard, just the two of them, since Dad left. The last thing she needed was one more problem to solve. "I handled it," he said, trying to sound more confident than he felt. "Really?" She sighed, unconvinced but relenting. "Dinner's in 20 minutes. Go wash up." In his small bedroom, Alex pulled out his notebook and began to write. Not about the bullies or the bruise, but about a man with wise eyes who quoted poetry and carried his entire life in a shopping cart. About the strange feeling of standing up to Tyler, not for himself, but for someone else. How different courage felt when it wasn't about self-preservation. The words flowed more easily than usual, filling page after page until his mother called him for dinner. That night, lying in bed, Alex wondered where Marcus was sleeping. If he was warm enough as the temperature dropped, if the words he'd shared had meant anything to the mysterious man, or if Alex had been just another momentary encounter in a life full of them. He couldn't have known then how that simple act, standing between a homeless man and his tormentors, would alter the course of his life. How some connections once formed refuse to be broken. How sometimes the people who change us most come from the places we least expect. Alex returned to the park the next day, and the next, but there was no sign of Marcus. By the weekend, he'd nearly convinced himself the encounter had been a one-time thing, a strange interlude that would eventually fade from memory. On Saturday morning, he told his mother he was going to the library and headed downtown. The autumn day was perfect. Crisp air, clear blue sky, trees blazing with color. Alex walked the long way, past the park, telling himself he wasn't really looking for the homeless man, just enjoying the scenery. The library was nearly empty, most people taking advantage of one of the last beautiful weekends before winter set in. Mrs. Chen, the head librarian, smiled at him from behind the circulation desk. "Alex, I was wondering when you'd come in. We got that collection of Bradbury short stories you asked about." "Thanks, Mrs. Chen." Alex genuinely smiled for the first time in days. The library had always been his sanctuary, the one place where being quiet and bookish was an asset rather than a liability. He browsed the shelves, losing himself in possibilities. After selecting the Bradbury and a few other books, Alex made his way to his favorite spot, a window alcove in the reference section where a worn armchair faced the garden. It was there, curled in the chair with a book open on his lap, that he saw him. Marcus sat on a bench in the library garden, writing in a notebook balanced on his knee. His cart was nowhere to be seen, but Alex recognized him immediately. Without thinking, he gathered his books and hurried outside. "Marcus?" The man looked up, surprise giving way to recognition. "Alex Palmer." "Good morning. I looked for you at the park." "Did you?" Marcus closed his notebook. "I find the garden here more conducive to thinking on Saturdays. The light is better." Alex gestured to the empty space on the bench. "May I?" "Please." Alex sat, noting that Marcus looked somewhat tidier today. His beard was trimmed, his clothes, while still worn, were cleaner. "You come to the library often?" "As often as possible. It's one of the few public spaces where existence doesn't require constant consumption. One can simply be..." Alex nodded toward the notebook. "Are you writing?" Marcus's expression shifted, becoming guarded. "Just thoughts. Nothing of consequence." "I brought my notebook too." Alex pulled it from his backpack. "I wrote about meeting you." "Did you?" Marcus raised an eyebrow. "And how did you characterize our encounter?" "I wrote about how you knew all those poems by heart, and how you didn't fit." "Didn't fit?" "With what people would expect." Alex flushed, suddenly aware of how that sounded. "I mean, no need to apologize for accuracy," Marcus said. "I don't fit many conventional expectations these days. But then I suspect neither do you." Alex looked down at his hands. "I guess not. May I?" Marcus held out his hand for Alex's notebook. After a moment's hesitation, Alex handed it over. No one had ever read his writing before. Not his mother, not his teachers. The thought of someone, especially someone who clearly knew literature, reading his amateur attempts made his stomach tighten. Marcus read silently, his expression giving nothing away. When he finished, he closed the notebook carefully. "You have a natural ear for dialogue," he said finally, "and you observe details others would miss, but you're holding back." "What do you mean?" "You describe what happened, but not how it felt. You keep the reader at a safe distance." Marcus handed the notebook back. "The best writing bleeds a little." Alex frowned. "You mean I should write about getting beaten up? About how Tyler and his friends make my life hell? I mean, you should write the truth as you experience it. Not just the events, but their impact. That's where connection happens." Marcus tapped the notebook. "You write about me as a curiosity, an oddity that caught your attention, which is fair enough. But what did it mean to you? Why does this stranger matter to your story?" The question lingered between them. Alex had no ready answer. "Try again," Marcus said, his tone gentler. "Write not what happened, but what changed." They sat in companionable silence for a while. Marcus returning to his own writing, Alex contemplating his words. Eventually, Mrs. Chen appeared at the garden door. "Alex, your mother called. She needs you home early today." Alex nodded, gathering his things. He turned to Marcus. "Will you be here tomorrow?" I have nowhere more pressing to be. Would you look at my writing again? If I try what you suggested? Something like surprise flickered across Marcus's weathered face. If you wish. Thanks. For the advice, I mean. You're welcome, Alex Palmer. All the way home, Alex thought about what Marcus had said. About writing the truth, about bleeding on the page. It seemed both terrifying and necessary. That evening, after helping his mother prep for her catering side job, Alex sat at his desk and opened to a fresh page. This time, he didn't just write what happened in the park. He wrote about the fear that had lived in his stomach for so long, he'd almost stopped noticing it. About how standing up for Marcus had felt like standing up for himself somehow. About the strange sense of recognition he'd felt looking into the older man's eyes, as if seeing a possible future version of himself. Someone the world had tried to diminish, but who retained an inner dignity. The words came haltingly at first, then in a rush, filling page after page. When he finally stopped, hand cramping and eyes burning, the digital clock on his nightstand read 2:17 a.m. Sunday dawned gray and drizzling. Alex's mother frowned when he mentioned going to the library. In this weather, can't you stay home and read? I need to return these, Alex said, indicating the books he checked out. And I'm meeting someone. Her eyebrows rose. A friend? The hopefulness in her voice made Alex's chest ache. She worried about his isolation, he knew. Sort of. Someone who's helping me with my writing. This wasn't a lie exactly, though Alex knew his mother would have serious concerns about him seeking writing advice from a homeless man. That's wonderful, honey. A study group? Something like that. He kissed her cheek. I won't be late. The rain had settled into a fine mist by the time Alex reached the library. The garden was empty, and for a moment he thought Marcus hadn't come. Then he spotted him in the reading room, seated at a table with books spread before him. Alex hesitated in the doorway. Something about seeing Marcus in this setting, surrounded by books and looking for all the world like a scholar at work, reinforced his sense that there was more to this man than his circumstances suggested. Marcus looked up as if sensing his presence. He gestured to the chair across from him. I hope you don't mind moving indoors, Marcus said as Alex sat down. My joints protest the damp these days. That's fine. Alex pulled out his notebook. I tried what you said about writing the truth. Marcus closed the book he'd been reading. May I? Alex handed over the notebook, his heart racing. This felt more exposing than anything he'd ever done. Worse than changing for gym class. Worse than the time he'd had to read a poem aloud in English. This was offering up his insides for inspection. Marcus read slowly, his expression thoughtful. Occasionally, he would nod slightly or his eyebrows would lift. When he finished, he sat in silence for a long moment. Well? Alex finally asked, unable to bear the suspense. This, Marcus tapped the page, is writing. This has a pulse. Relief flooded through Alex. Really? You've done what many writers twice your age struggle to do? You've been honest. Marcus leaned forward. There's a paragraph here where you describe feeling invisible and visible at the same time. That contradiction, that complexity, that's life as it's actually lived. It was harder to write this way. Of course it was. You're holding yourself accountable to truth rather than mere events. Marcus handed back the notebook. The question is, are you willing to keep doing the hard thing? Alex considered this. I think maybe I am. Good. Marcus smiled, a genuine warmth reaching his eyes. Then perhaps we have more to discuss. What began that rainy Sunday became a pattern. Every weekend, and many weekday afternoons, Alex would meet Marcus at the library. Sometimes they would sit in the garden when weather permitted. Other times they claimed a quiet corner of the reading room. Marcus never spoke about his past or how he came to be homeless. Alex learned not to ask, sensing the invisible boundaries the older man maintained. Instead, they talked about books, about writing, about ideas. Marcus assigned him reading, not just fiction and poetry, but philosophy, history, science. A writer must be a student of everything, Marcus told him. You never know what piece of knowledge will illuminate a story. He critiqued Alex's writing with a keen but kind eye, pushing him to dig deeper, to find the emotional truths beneath the surface of his stories. Under Marcus's guidance, Alex began experimenting with different forms and voices, developing a style that felt increasingly his own. Mrs. Chen observed their meetings with curious interest but never interfered. She seemed to recognize something valuable in the unlikely mentorship, occasionally bringing them tea or pointing out new arrivals she thought might interest them. At school, Tyler and his friends continued their harassment, but something had shifted in Alex. Their words still hurt, their shoves still left bruises, but they no longer defined his days. He had something they couldn't touch, a purpose, a passion, and a mentor who believed in his potential. One afternoon in late October, as yellow leaves swirled around the garden bench where they sat, Marcus handed Alex a slim volume. "I believe you're ready for this," he said. It was a collection of essays on the craft of writing by various authors. Alex flipped through it, noting the highlighted passages and margin notes in a precise, elegant hand. "This is yours." "It was," Marcus nodded. "Now it's yours." "I can't take this." "You can and you will." Marcus's tone brooked no argument. "Books are meant to be read, ideas meant to be shared. This has served its purpose with me, now it can serve you." Alex ran his fingers over the cover. "Thank you. There's an essay in there by Joan Didion on keeping a notebook. I'd like you to read it first." That night, Alex read the essay twice, captivated by Didion's exploration of why we keep records of our lives, the difference between remembering what happened and how it felt to happen. In the margins beside one passage, Marcus had written, "We tell ourselves stories in order to live. Choose yours carefully." The next day at school, English class brought an announcement that made Alex sit up straight. The Millfield Literary Journal is accepting submissions for its winter issue. Garcia said, distributing flyers. "Short stories, poetry, essays, all are welcome. The deadline is December 1st. Alex stared at the flyer, a spark of excitement kindling in his chest. He'd never considered submitting his writing for publication before, even in a school journal. But now, "You should submit something," Ellie Chen said, turning around in her seat. Mrs. Chen's niece, she was one of the few people at school who was consistently kind to Alex. "My aunt says you're working with some writing coach at the library." "Not exactly a coach," Alex hedged. "Just someone who knows a lot about writing." "Well, whoever they are, they must be good. Aunt Lynn says you're at the library all the time now." After school, Alex hurried to the library, eager to tell Marcus about the opportunity. But the older man wasn't in any of his usual spots. Concerned, Alex approached Mrs. Chen. "Have you seen Marcus today?" A shadow passed over her face. "Not since yesterday." "Is everything all right?" "I'm not sure. He's always here on Thursdays." Mrs. Chen hesitated. "Alex, I've been meaning to ask, how much do you know about your friend?" "Not much," Alex admitted. "He doesn't talk about himself." "I see." She adjusted her glasses. "It's just, I worry about both of you." "You don't need to. He's helping me with my writing." "That's all." Mrs. Chen didn't look convinced, but she nodded. "If you say so. Will you let me know when you see him? Just so I know he's all right." Alex promised he would, then headed to the park, hoping to find Marcus there. The bench where they'd first talked was empty, but Alex sat down anyway, pulling out his notebook. He began to write about the journal submission, about the possibility of other people reading his work, about the strange mix of terror and excitement the thought provoked. He was so absorbed that he didn't notice the sky darkening until raindrops began to spatter the page. Hastily shoving his notebook into his backpack, Alex ran for shelter. The rain was coming down in earnest now, a cold autumn downpour that soaked through his jacket in seconds. He thought of Marcus, wondering if he had somewhere dry to go. For the first time, it struck Alex how little he knew about the man who had become so important to him. Where did Marcus sleep? What did he eat? How had someone so educated, so articulate, ended up on the streets? The questions multiplied as Alex jogged home through the rain. His mother was at the kitchen table when he arrived, sorting bills into piles with a worried crease between her eyebrows. "You're soaked," she exclaimed. "Go change before you catch pneumonia." In dry clothes, Alex returned to the kitchen and put the kettle on for tea. His mother had taught him that tea solved most immediate problems, a belief she'd inherited from her own mother. "Mom," he said, setting a steaming mug in front of her. "Can I ask you something?" "Of course, honey." She pushed the bills aside, giving him her full attention. "How do you help someone who might not want help?" Her expression grew cautious. "This is about your writing friend?" Alex nodded, surprised. "How did you know?" "Mrs. Chen called me last week." She sighed. "She's concerned about you spending so much time with someone whose circumstances are uncertain." Heat flooded Alex's face. "You've been checking up on me? I'm your mother. It's literally my job." She reached for his hand. "Alex, who is this person?" "His name is Marcus. He lives on the streets." "But Mom, he's brilliant. He knows more about books and writing than anyone I've ever met. He's helping me, really helping me." "Oh, honey." Her voice was gentle but worried. "I know you have a good heart, but there are programs for people in his situation, professionals who can help him." "He doesn't need that kind of help," Alex insisted. He needs He trailed off, unsure how to explain. What, Alex? Dignity? He said finally. He needs to be seen as more than his circumstances. His mother studied him, something shifting in her expression. You really care about him. He's the first person who's ever taken my writing seriously. The first person who seems to think I might actually have something worth saying. She squeezed his hand. I've always thought that. I know, Mom, but you're my mother. You have to think I'm amazing. He managed a small smile. It's different coming from someone who has no reason to believe in me, but does anyway. She was quiet for a long moment. The forecast says it's going to rain all weekend. Heavy at times. I know. And you're worried about your friend. Alex nodded, a lump forming in his throat. His mother drew a deep breath. The diner is catering the Harvest Festival at the community center tomorrow. They've set up cots for the volunteers who are staying overnight. She held his gaze. If someone needed a warm, dry place to sleep, they might find the side door unlocked around 8. Alex stared at her, understanding dawning. Mom, I'm not promising anything, she said quickly. And there would have to be rules. I'd need to meet this person, make my own assessment. Of course. Alex felt a rush of love for his mother, for her capacity to stretch beyond her comfort zone. Thank you. Don't thank me yet. She picked up her mug. I haven't agreed to anything except not locking a door. That night, as rain lashed against his window, Alex lay awake thinking about Marcus. Where was he right now? Was he huddled in a doorway somewhere? Or did he have some secret shelter Alex knew nothing about? The thought of the dignified older man being cold and wet made Alex's chest ache. The next morning, Alex went straight to the library, but there was still no sign of Marcus. Mrs. Chen shook her head when he asked if she'd seen him. The police came by earlier, she said quietly. They were moving people from the underpass near the railroad tracks. Apparently it's flooding. Alex's worry deepened. Did they say where they were taking people? The shelter on Oak Street, I believe. But Alex, she caught his arm as he turned to leave. Be careful. Your heart is in the right place, but you can't save everyone. I'm not trying to save everyone, Alex said. Just one person who matters to me. The rain had eased to a steady drizzle as Alex made his way to the shelter, a converted church basement run by a local nonprofit. A line of people waited outside, seeking respite from the weather. Alex scanned the faces, looking for Marcus's distinctive beard and clear blue eyes, but didn't see him. After an hour of searching the places he thought Marcus might go, the park, the bookstore where he sometimes lingered near the heating vent, the covered bus stop by the town square, Alex was cold, damp, and discouraged. He was about to head home when he spotted a familiar shopping cart partially hidden behind the dumpster at the back of the public library. The library was closed on Saturdays afternoon, the building dark and locked. Alex circled around to the loading dock, where a small overhang provided minimal shelter from the rain. There, huddled against the wall with a tarp pulled over his head and shoulders, sat Marcus. Marcus, Alex called, hurrying toward him. The older man looked up, surprise registering on his rain-streaked face. Alex, what are you doing out in this weather? Looking for you. I was worried. Marcus adjusted the tarp, which Alex now saw was leaking in several places. As you can see, I'm perfectly fine. But he wasn't fine. Up close, Alex could see that Marcus was shivering, his clothes soaked despite his makeshift shelter. His face looked paler than usual, almost gray in the dim light. You need to come with me, Alex said. Right now. I appreciate your concern, but I'm quite comfortable here. You're freezing and wet and probably getting sick. Alex held out his hand. Please. There's a place you can stay tonight. It's warm and dry. Marcus hesitated, pride warring with practical need. Finally, he sighed. And where is this place? The community center. My mom works there. She? Alex faltered, unsure how to explain without sounding like charity. She said I could invite a friend. A friend. Marcus repeated the word as if testing its shape. Is that what we are, Alex Palmer? Yes, Alex said firmly. That's exactly what we are. Something in Marcus's expression softened. Very well. Lead on. They walked through the rain, Marcus pushing his cart alongside Alex. They made an odd pair, the teenager and the homeless man, earning curious glances from the few people braving the weather. Alex found he didn't care. For once, he wasn't thinking about what others thought of him. The community center was bustling with activity when they arrived. Volunteers setting up for the Harvest Festival. Alex led Marcus around to the side entrance his mother had mentioned. It was unlocked as promised. Wait here, Alex said, guiding Marcus to a small alcove just inside the door. Let me find my mom. He found her in the kitchen, directing a team assembling trays of food. She looked up as he approached, her eyes questioning. He's here, Alex said quietly. By the side door. She nodded, wiping her hands on her apron. Give me 5 minutes. Alex returned to Marcus, who had remained exactly where Alex left him, looking uncomfortable and out of place. My mom wants to meet you, Alex said. She'll be here soon. Marcus ran a hand over his beard, attempting to smooth it. I'm hardly presentable. She won't care about that. Everyone cares about that, Alex. Appearances matter, however much we might wish otherwise. Before Alex could respond, his mother appeared in the hallway. She approached them with a warm smile that only briefly faltered when she took in Marcus's bedraggled state. Mom, this is Marcus, my friend I told you about. It's nice to meet you, Marcus. I'm Sarah Palmer. She held out her hand. Marcus straightened, something of his usual dignity reasserting itself as he shook her hand. The pleasure is mine, Mrs. Palmer. Your son speaks very highly of you. Call me Sarah, please. She glanced at the shopping cart. Is that all your belongings? Such as they are. Marcus nodded. Let's find somewhere more private to talk. She led them down a hallway to a small office, closing the door behind them. Alex tells me you've been helping him with his writing. He gives me too much credit, Marcus said. Alex has a natural talent. I merely offer occasional guidance. He's being modest. Alex interjected. Mom, Marcus knows everything about literature. He quotes poetry from memory and gives the best feedback on my stories and... Alex. His mother's gentle interruption stopped his rush of words. Why don't you go help Mr. Grayson set up the cots? I'd like to talk to Marcus alone for a few minutes. Alex hesitated, looking between them. Is that okay? Marcus nodded. Perfectly reasonable. Reluctantly, Alex left them, glancing back to see his mother gesturing for Marcus to take a seat. He hoped she wouldn't interrogate him too harshly. In the main hall, Alex helped the custodian arrange cots for the volunteers staying overnight. Mr. Grayson, a kind-faced man in his 60s, worked steadily beside him. Your mother said we'd have an extra guest tonight. Mr. Grayson commented. Friend of yours? Yeah, Alex said, focusing on securing a cot leg. He's kind of between homes right now. Aren't we all in one way or another? Mr. Grayson smiled philosophically. Life's a journey, not a destination. That's Emerson, Alex said automatically. Mr. Grayson looked impressed. Smart kid. Your friend teach you that? Sort of. Alex straightened, looking toward the hallway where his mother and Marcus were still talking. I hope she's not giving him the 3rd degree. Your mother? She's got one of the kindest hearts in this town. Mr. Grayson handed him another cot. If your friend is important to you, she'll see that. 20 minutes later, his mother emerged with Marcus. To Alex's surprise, they were both smiling slightly, as if sharing some private understanding. Alex, his mother called, come help Marcus get settled. He'll be staying in the small meeting room. More privacy there. The relief that flooded through Alex must have shown on his face, because his mother gave him a knowing look as she passed. Thank you, he whispered. Don't make me regret it, she whispered back, but her eyes were soft. The small meeting room had a cot set up in one corner, with a folding screen providing a semblance of a private space. A pile of towels and what looked like clean clothes sat on a chair nearby. The shower's down the hall. Alex's mother told Marcus. Dinner's at 6. Nothing fancy, just soup and sandwiches for the volunteers. Your kindness is overwhelming, Marcus said, his voice rough with what might have been emotion. It's what anyone would do, she replied. No, Marcus shook his head. It isn't, but it's what everyone should do. She nodded, understanding something in his words that Alex couldn't quite grasp. I'll leave you to get settled. Alex can show you where everything is. After she left, Marcus surveyed the simple accommodations with something like wonder. Your mother is quite remarkable. She is, Alex agreed, feeling a surge of pride. Those clothes probably belong to someone's dad, from the donation drive last month. They look blessedly dry, which is all that matters at present. Marcus placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. Thank you, Alex. This was unexpected. That's what friends do, right? Help each other. Marcus's smile was tinged with sadness. Indeed they do, though I fear the balance of help has been rather one-sided thus far. That's not true, Alex protested. You've helped me more than you know. Later, after Marcus had showered and changed into the donated clothes, khakis and a flannel shirt that were slightly too large but clean and warm, they sat together in the community center's small library nook. The rain continued to drum against the windows, but inside was warm and dry, the smell of vegetable soup and fresh bread drifting from the kitchen. Pan better? Alex asked. Marcus nodded, running a hand through his damp hair, now combed neatly back from his forehead. Clean-shaven and properly dressed, he looked transformed, less like a homeless man and more like someone's professor grandfather. Remarkably so. He hesitated. Your mother mentioned that I might be able to stay here through the weekend. Until the rain passes. That's great. Alex couldn't contain his relief. And maybe after that, Alex. Marcus's tone was gentle but firm. Let's not get ahead of ourselves. This temporary sanctuary is more than I had any right to expect. But winter's coming. You can't stay outside when it starts snowing. I've managed before. But you shouldn't have to, Alex insisted. Not when there's a submission opportunity? Marcus interrupted, nodding toward the flyer Alex had forgotten he'd stuck in his notebook. Tell me about this. Alex recognized the deliberate change of subject, but decided not to push. It's for the school literary journal. Miss Garcia announced it yesterday. And will you submit something? I don't know. Maybe. Alex fidgeted with the corner of the flyer. What do you think? I think, Marcus said carefully, that you have stories worth telling. Whether you're ready to share them more widely is a question only you can answer. What if they reject it? Then you'll be in excellent company. Every writer worth reading has faced rejection. Even you. The question slipped out before Alex could stop it. Marcus went very still. What makes you think I'm a writer? Alex felt his cheeks warm. The way you talk about writing, like you've done it, not just studied it. And your notebooks. You're always writing in them. For a long moment, Marcus said nothing, his expression unreadable. Then he sighed, a sound that seemed to come from somewhere deep and weary. Yes, Alex, even me. Something in his tone discouraged further questions, and Alex let the subject drop. But the seed of curiosity once planted began to grow. That evening, after dinner with the volunteers, during which Marcus charmed everyone with his knowledge of local history and quiet wit, Alex helped his mother clean up in the kitchen. He's not what I expected, she said quietly, handing him a plate to dry. Shush, what did you expect? I'm not sure. She rinsed another plate. Someone less intelligent? Alex suggested. Educated? Present, she decided. He listens when people speak. Really listens. That's rare. Alex nodded, thinking of how Marcus always gave his full attention to Alex's writing, his questions, his ideas. He sees people, not just what they appear to be, but what they could be. His mother gave him a thoughtful look. That's a gift. I think, Alex hesitated, unsure how to express what he was feeling. I think maybe that's why he helped me. Because he saw something in me worth helping. Oh, honey. She put down the dish she was washing and turned to face him. There's so much in you worth helping. My worth loving. Worth believing in. I've always seen it. I know, Mom. He managed a smile. But sometimes you need to hear it from someone else, too. She pulled him into a hug, soap suds and all. I'm glad you found each other, she whispered against his hair. Just be careful with your heart, okay? I will, he promised, though he wasn't entirely sure what she meant. Later that night, as Alex was preparing to head home with his mother, he sought out Marcus to say goodnight. He found the older man in the library nook, writing in one of his notebooks by the soft light of a table lamp. We're leaving now, Alex said, but I'll come back tomorrow. Maybe we could work on something for the journal submission? Marcus looked up, his expression softening. I'd like that. You'll be okay here? It'd keep better than okay. Marcus gestured around at the warm, dry space. This is luxury beyond measure. Alex shifted uncomfortably. I wish. Don't. Marcus's voice was gentle but firm. Don't carry the weight of what you cannot change. Focus on what you can. My writing? Your writing. Your education. Your future. Marcus's blue eyes held his. That's where your energy belongs. Alex nodded, understanding something important was being communicated. I'll see you tomorrow then. I look forward to it. The rain continued all weekend, turning the world gray and sodden. Alex spent most of it at the community center, working with Marcus on a short story for the journal submission. Under Marcus's guidance, Alex crafted a piece about a boy who discovers an abandoned library where the books speak to him, helping him navigate the challenges of his life. It's still a little rough, Alex said on Sunday afternoon as they reviewed the final draft. It has heart, Marcus countered. Technical perfection is less important than emotional truth. By Sunday evening, the story was as polished as they could make it. The rain had finally stopped, stars appearing in breaks between the clouds. The Harvest Festival was over, the volunteers dispersing, the community center returning to its normal quiet state. Alex knew without either of them saying it that Marcus would be leaving too. My mother says you're welcome to dinner at our house tomorrow, Alex said as they sat on the community center steps. If you want, Marcus smiled, but there was sadness in it. Your mother is extraordinarily kind. But I think perhaps it's time I moved on. Moved on? You mean leave Millfield? Alex felt a spike of panic. But what about my writing? What about the journal submission? You don't need me for that, Alex. You have everything you need right here. Marcus tapped Alex's chest over his heart. The courage to tell your truth. But I do need you, Alex insisted. You're the only one who understands. Not the only one, never the only one. Marcus's gaze was steady. There are others who will see your light if you let them. Where will you go? There's a shelter in the next town over. More resources for people in my situation. Marcus looked up at the clearing sky. New possibilities. Alex felt tears burning behind his eyes. Will I see you again? Attempt some. I don't know. Marcus answered honestly. But you'll carry what we've shared with you. As will I. They sat in silence for a long moment, the weight of impending separation settling between them. I have something for you, Marcus said finally, reaching into his pocket. He pulled out a small wrapped package. A parting gift. Alex unwrapped it with trembling fingers. Inside was a fountain pen, old but well-maintained, with a nib that gleamed in the streetlight. It was my father's, Marcus said. He believed that words written by hand carry a piece of the writer's soul. I can't take this, Alex protested. It's too valuable. It's only valuable if it's used, Marcus countered. I want you to use it, to write your stories, your truths, to become the writer you're meant to be. Alex closed his hand around the pen, feeling its weight, its history. Thank you for everything. The gift has been mine as well, Marcus said softly. You reminded me of something I'd forgotten. What's that? That stories don't just belong to the past. They continue to unfold, to surprise us, to offer redemption when we least expect it. The next morning, Alex went to the community center before school, but Marcus was already gone. His cart, his notebooks, all traces of his presence had vanished. Only the memory remained, and the fountain pen Alex now carried in his pocket. At school, Alex submitted his story to the literary journal with a mixture of anxiety and pride. Whatever happened, he had written something true, something that mattered to him. That was what Marcus had taught him, to value his own voice, his own experience. Days passed, then weeks. November brought the first snow, dusting the town with white. Alex continued to write, filling notebook after notebook with stories, observations, fragments of ideas. He used Marcus's pen for his final drafts, feeling a connection to the older man with each stroke of ink. He looked for Marcus everywhere, at the library, in the park, on the streets of Millfield. But the homeless man had vanished as suddenly as he had appeared in Alex's life. Mrs. Chen noticed his distraction one afternoon as he sat in the library, staring out at the snowy garden. He moved on, didn't he? She asked gently, sitting beside him. Alex nodded, not trusting his voice. I thought he might. She patted his hand. Some people come into our lives for a season, Alex. That doesn't make the connection any less meaningful. I miss him, Alex admitted. I have all these things I want to tell him, to ask him. I know. She hesitated, then reached into her pocket. This came for you today. Through the library's interlibrary loan system, oddly enough, she handed him a small package wrapped in brown paper. His name was written on it in a familiar, elegant hand. Alex's heart leapt. It's from Marcus. I thought it might be Mrs. Chen smiled. I'll give you some privacy. With trembling fingers, Alex unwrapped the package. Inside was a book, a collection of essays on finding one's voice as a writer. A bookmark protruded from its pages. Alex opened to the marked spot and found a handwritten note on library stationery. Chaku. By now, you've likely discovered that people are more complex than they first appear, including me, perhaps especially me. I want you to know that our conversations were a gift I never expected to receive. You saw me when I was invisible, stood up for me when I had forgotten my own worth. For that, I will always be grateful. The fountain pen was my father's, as I told you. What I didn't say was that he was also a writer, as was I once upon a time. Perhaps I will be again someday. You've reminded me that stories don't end until we decide they do. Keep writing your truth, Alex Palmer. The world needs more voices like yours. Honest, compassionate, unafraid to stand up for what matters. With deepest gratitude, Marcus Reed, formerly known as Malcolm Reed. Alex stared at the signature, a memory stirring. Malcolm Reed. The name was familiar, but he couldn't place it. He carried the book to the library computer and typed the name into the search engine. The results made his heart stop. Malcolm Reed, award-winning author of Shadows on the Wall and The Invisible Man's Notebook, disappeared from public life 5 years ago after the tragic death of his wife and daughter in a car accident. Presumed dead after his empty boat was found drifting off the coast of Maine, Alex clicked on images and there he was. Marcus, but younger, clean-shaven, standing at a podium accepting an award. The same clear blue eyes, the same thoughtful expression. Malcolm Reed, famous author, literary genius. And he had been living on the streets of Millfield, unrecognized by everyone except, perhaps, Mrs. Chen, who now stood watching Alex from across the room with a knowing expression. "You knew," Alex said when she approached. "You knew who he was." "I suspected," she admitted. "I've read all his books, but it wasn't my place to say anything." "Why didn't he tell me?" "Perhaps he wanted to be seen for who he is now, not who he was then." She smiled gently. "Or perhaps he was waiting for you to discover it yourself." Alex spent the rest of the afternoon reading about Malcolm Reed, learning about his brilliant career, his tragic loss, his mysterious disappearance. The articles painted a picture of a man destroyed by grief, unable to write, unable to continue in a world without his family. And somehow that broken man had found his way to Millfield, to a park bench where a bullied boy stood up for him. The realization hit Alex with the force of revelation. They had saved each other. Marcus, Malcolm, had given Alex the confidence to find his voice, to tell his stories. And Alex had reminded Malcolm that connection was still possible, that life continued to unfold in unexpected ways. December arrived with bitter cold and the announcement of the literary journal selections. Alex's story, The Speaking Library, had been chosen as the featured piece. "This is extraordinary work, Alex," Ms. Garcia told him, her eyes bright with genuine admiration. "One of the most mature pieces I've seen from a student your age." The praise was sweet, but Alex found himself wishing he could share the news with Marcus, with Malcolm, wherever he was now. On the day the journal was published, Alex received another package through Mrs. Chen. This one contained a leather-bound notebook with his name embossed on the cover and another note: "Congratulations on your publication. The first of many, I'm certain. Every writer needs a proper notebook for their next masterpiece. M.R." There was an address on the return label, not Millfield, but a town about 30 miles away. That weekend, Alex persuaded his mother to drive him there. It was a small coastal community, the kind of place where artists and writers often retreated from the world. They found the address easily enough, a modest cottage overlooking the sea. "Are you sure about this?" his mother asked as they parked outside. "He might not want to be found." He included the address, "Mom. I think that was an invitation." She nodded, understanding. "I'll wait here. Take your time." Alex walked up to the cottage alone, his heart pounding. The manuscript of his new story was in his backpack, along with Malcolm Reed's fountain pen. He knocked on the door, holding his breath. It opened to reveal Marcus, Malcolm, looking healthier than Alex had ever seen him. He wore clean clothes, his beard was neatly trimmed, and there was color in his face. But his eyes were the same, clear blue and full of quiet wisdom. "Alex Palmer," he said, a smile spreading across his face. "I wondered when you might find me. You left a pretty obvious trail," Alex said, his own smile breaking through his nervousness. "Perhaps I wanted to be found." Malcolm stepped back, opening the door wider. "Will you come in?" The cottage was small but comfortable, shelves of books lining every wall. A desk by the window faced the ocean, a laptop open beside a stack of handwritten pages. "You're writing again," Alex observed. "I'm trying," Malcolm gestured to the pages. "It's not easy coming back to it after so long, but I find I have a story I need to tell." "About what?" "About loss, about finding oneself in unexpected places, about a boy who reminded a broken man what courage looks like." Malcolm's eyes were warm. "About beginnings disguised as endings." Alex felt a lump form in his throat. "I brought something to show you." He pulled the manuscript from his backpack. "My new story. I used your pen. I'd be honored to read it." Malcolm took the pages reverently. "Would you like some tea while I do?" They sat together by the window as the winter sun glinted off the gray ocean. Malcolm read Alex's story with the same careful attention he'd always given his writing, occasionally nodding or making a small sound of appreciation. When he finished, he looked up with a smile that reached his eyes. "You've found your voice, Alex Palmer. I had a good teacher. The best teachers only show us what we already know deep down." Malcolm set the manuscript aside. "Your mother drove you?" Alex nodded. "She's waiting in the car." "Invite her in." I'd like to thank her properly for her kindness that rainy weekend, and perhaps discuss something with both of you. When Sarah Palmer joined them in the cottage, Malcolm served fresh tea and homemade cookies. They talked easily, like old friends reuniting rather than near strangers with an unusual connection. "I've been thinking," Malcolm said finally, setting down his teacup. "The local community college offers a creative writing program for high school students on Saturdays. It's quite good. I've been asked to teach a workshop there next semester." He looked at Alex. "I think you would benefit from it. If you're interested, that would be amazing," Alex said, excitement bubbling up. "But it's so far from Millfield." "It is," Malcolm agreed. "Which brings me to my second thought." He turned to Sarah. "I understand you're a skilled cook. The college is looking for someone to manage their cafe. The hours would work around Alex's school schedule, and there's faculty housing available at a reduced rate." Sarah's eyes widened. "Are you offering us jobs? A place to live?" "I'm offering possibilities," Malcolm corrected gently. "New beginnings, perhaps, for all of us." The implication hung in the air, a chance to start fresh in a place where Alex wouldn't be known as the bullied kid, where Sarah could use her talents beyond the local diner, where Malcolm was rebuilding his life one word at a time. "Why would you do this for us?" Sarah asked, her voice soft with wonder. Malcolm looked at Alex, his expression full of something that might have been pride, might have been affection. "Because your son taught me something I had forgotten, that sometimes the greatest act of courage is simply to see someone, truly see them, and to stand beside them when the world is unkind." 3 months later, Alex stood at the podium in the community college auditorium, reading the opening of his award-winning story to an audience of students, teachers, and community members. His mother sat in the front row, beaming with pride, her chef's uniform crisp and professional after her shift at the college cafe. And beside her sat Malcolm Reed, officially back from the literary dead, his new novel already generating buzz among publishers and critics alike. The book's dedication page read simply, "For AP, who reminded me that every story deserves a second chance." As Alex read the final lines of his story, he caught Malcolm's eye. The older man nodded slightly, a gesture of approval and something more, a recognition of the journey they had taken together, from a park bench in Millfield to this moment of shared triumph. Later, as they walked across the campus under a sky brilliant with stars, Malcolm placed a hand on Alex's shoulder. "Do you remember what I told you that day in the library? About writing that bleeds a little?" Alex nodded. "You said that's where connection happens." "Indeed." Malcolm looked up at the night sky. "I think we've both learned something about connection, haven't we? That it shows up in the most unexpected places?" "That yes," Malcolm smiled. "And that sometimes the people who change our lives the most are the ones we never saw coming." Alex thought about that bullied boy who had stood up for a homeless man, never realizing he was a famous author who would mentor him. How that single moment of courage had altered the course of both their lives. "I'm glad I saw you," Alex said simply, "when no one else did." "As am I," Malcolm replied, his voice rough with emotion. "As am I." Together, mentor and student, two writers finding their way back to their truths, they walked toward home beneath the infinite canvas of stars, their story still unfolding with each step, with each word yet to be written.